Welcome to the WealthGenius podcast, brought to you by the Expand Wealth Real Estate Fund. Expand your wealth by investing in apartment buildings. Go to expandwealthfund.com to book your info session. The WealthGenius podcast, strategies for multifamily real estate investing, mindset, community, success. The WealthGenius podcast with your host, the godfather of real estate, Alfonso Cuadra, who has expansive experience in business and massive success as a real estate investor. The WealthGenius podcast. Let's dive into today's episode.
Well, you know what? Anytime me and you sit down, it's just like old buddies, you know? And I feel like I know you like for a long time, but it's really only been like 6 years or 6.
Well, I think we started having conversations around maybe 2019,
something like that.
Yeah, and then we really kind of got into it during COVID, right? And you'd come onto my podcast, and we did some webinars together, and understanding the history of money, and really it was always about educating people.
Yeah, and we were kind of like in alignment with our values and kind of the way we operate, and just anytime we come on the when we do a podcast together, it's just like old friends, Yeah. I still remember, I was on that podcast, and I was filming the behind the scenes, and it was a live video that was streaming to my YouTube. And then after the podcast, we got into talking and sharing, and we had some drinks.
Some scotch.
And it was like 2 hours later.
it was like a Rogan podcast.
Yeah, it was like a Rogan podcast. Yeah. We did it for 2 hours, and what happened? People were still watching when I turned it off, so it's pretty interesting. So thank you for being a good friend.
Well, and thank you for being a good friend as well, too. And I think also like a mentor to, I'll say even myself and a lot of people that look up to you and want to hear what you've got to say and watch what you're doing as well, too. I think it's important, right, to just be genuine and to share the journey and just be, I think, as transparent as possible, because this is not an easy ride. But it's a fun ride. It can be a really fun ride. And I think that's
the fact that it's not easy is what makes it fun.
For sure. And one of the things that I enjoy doing, like I'll watch different podcasts, I'll learn from other people. But what I really enjoy recently is watching people who are in their 70s and their 80s. And I think you learn something so important from them where they're saying, man, I wish I had done this, or I wish I didn't worry so much about what people thought about me, or now I'm in this body and I don't have the energy that I used to have. And I think it's an important message there, saying while you're young, it feels like you have a lot of time.
And when we're talking about young, we're still talking about people that 30s or 40s.
Yeah.
We're not talking about like young people in their 20s or but we're talking about people that are still, if you still got it, you know.
Yeah, do it. And I think that's one of the things that I've talked about this to you before, is why I implemented the mini retirements. Because some people get caught up in, well, I'll retire when I'm 65. But why not do something now? Why not retire now and have these mini retirements? This is one thing that I learned. And I'll tell you why. I don't know if I ever shared this with you. One of the reasons why I implemented the mini retirements, and I think you do them as well too, where you take that break, because you really need it, especially when you're putting out so much energy and sharing this with your followers, is that in my early 30s, and I'll share this tomorrow as well too with on stage, is something tragic happened where my mother got diagnosed with cancer, and then my mother-in-law got diagnosed with cancer within 3 months. This is early 2000, and for 2 years, me and my wife took them to their appointments, looked after them, did everything that we could, and they were strong women as well too, Alfonso. And then my mom passed away in 2002, September. And I'll never forget this. When my mother-in-law went to the viewing and saw that, she almost saw, like, this is what's going to happen to me next. And then a few months later, she passed away.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. When you play the game of chess and 2 queens get taken off the board, it feels like the game's over.
Yeah.
And when that happened, it really allowed me to take a step back, and my wife as well too, to realize, like, this is not a forever ride, and you never know when that time may show up. And so when we started Smart Home Choice and started going down the entrepreneurial journey, and knowing that we had young kids, we were like, let's build something, but also not only just about making money, but more important about creating time. Because I think that's really what we're all chasing as well too. Is it's not just financial freedom; it's also time freedom. Yeah. That's really what you're going after. And so when we did that, we're like, let's take the summers off, let's take the winters off.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people have this illusion that they need to do all of these things for that to happen, right? Like they have to have X amount of dollars. They have to, have so much money coming in for them to give themselves the permission to, take some time off, right? Especially when we talk about mini retirements, this is not going to a resort for a week. You want weeks, like where you're completely unplugged, and what happens, in my opinion, this becomes non-negotiables.
Yes.
And if they become non-negotiables, I'm a big believer in the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the things that you do are actually BS. It's only the 20% of the things that you actually do on a daily basis actually matter and bring value, productivity, everything in your life. And so if we simply just focus on that 20% and get rid of the 80% and double down on the 20, you actually are more productive. You can do more, create more, become more. And so the idea of the mini retirement is now you're creating massive urgency in the time that you actually are working.
Yes.
So you're much more productive. I'm the most productive person on planet Earth if my flight is at noon and I got to go in and get things done at work, between 8 to 10. That I'm in my zone, right? I'm like, there's a sense of urgency. You quit with the BS, things that don't matter. You just focus on what matters, and because you know that you got to go, right? And I think people that take these mini retirements have that, right? Like they get that boost of productivity where they're doing the most important things, and really, what you find out is you don't miss anything, right? So, how long are your mini retirements?
So July and August, so for 2 months, and then in December and January, right? So we like to take 4 months off. Now, while we're off though, the book, The 4 Hour Work Week.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of work that we're obviously doing. There's some.
Is it calculated? It's like we're going to do it.
Exactly.
It's like we're doing it from here to here.
Right, but we've built the systems, we have the team, and so a lot of the heavy lifting is still done with that team as well too. Where it allows me and Darlene now to really take a step back and saying, are we moving in the right direction? Does this make sense to continue doing this? And I'm big on the whiteboard, and goal setting is so important. It's like, I say this, it's like driving to Florida but not having a map. You would never do that. You wouldn't just jump in your car and drive. Yeah. And so you've got to map out what's important to you. And this is where my wife and I will argue at the beginning of the year, like, no, that's not what we want to do. We want to go there. And so, but it's important because then what you want to do is to at least be able to have that conversation of, this is where we're going. Because if you don't, then I may assume that she wants to go this way, and she may assume that I want to go that way, and that's what causes those conflicts. So you've got to have those conversations in the beginning. It's really important to map it out.
If someone told you to paint the house in 30 days, it would take you 30 days. If someone told you to paint the house in 3 days, it would take you 3 days. And so, it's all in the things that you do. Yeah. Majority of the time, we waste a lot of time, right? I think you could be very efficient. So you're taking July and August. You said, was that what you said?
Yeah, July and August.
And December and January.
Yeah.
Why those months? And what has to happen? What do you do? How do you build the systems so the business can continue while you're gone?
Yeah, it's a good question. So for us, I think it obviously helps because we're in real estate. So I'm a real estate agent. And so when you take a look at the real estate cycle, when are your busy and your slow months, and so your busiest is your spring market. So we need to be active during then. Your second busiest is your fall market. Your third is your summer, and then the slowest one is your winter months. And so we kind of timed it to do it along that real estate cycle. So that was definitely beneficial for us. Number two, really kind of having the team. And so you got to be able to outsource, because in the beginning you do have to wear multiple hats. And I want to make sure that anybody that's listening is very clear on this. You can't just outsource everything in the beginning. You know, in the beginning, I was the IT manager, I was a newsletter writer, I was a real estate agent, I was all of those things. And then as you're building it, you realize where your strengths are, work in your genius, right? Work in your genius, and the other things. Then you've got to start to outsource it. But here's a very important thing, is that when you start to outsource, right, some people get too caught up in outsourcing everything. You've got to what's called mind the gap. Minding the gap means if it costs $40 to cut the lawn, but I know during that hour of cutting the lawn, I can now sit down with a client and make $100. Okay, well, that's called leverage. So you're leveraging somebody else's time. But if I'm cutting that lawn and hiring that out, but now I'm going to go play golf, well, that's a luxury. So you've got to be careful of minding that gap, because your monthly expenses should never exceed your monthly income. So be very careful of that and keep strict accounts, right? And so that's how you do it. And so you got to keep strict accounts. You've got to manage, and you also have to have somebody like my wife who's in operations. You need somebody to be able to do that, because see, for yourself, you're the person that's out there. You're the inspiring person, but you also have very smart people behind the scenes that allow you to be able to work in your genius. And that's really important. So you're having the right people around you.
So now that you have been doing this, what are some of the learnings? So what have you noticed in terms of your business? Yep. Did it suffer? Did it increase? What would you do differently? What are the things that you have improved on this concept of the mini retirement?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd ever do anything differently, because I think it's important that whatever happens, you learn from it. And so, have I made mistakes? Absolutely. Did I outsource too much and have to pull back? Yes, absolutely. So those would be some definitely mistakes that I made, of just outsourcing too much. So I had to kind of pull back. Then also taking a look at whatever I have outsourced, does that produce enough for me? Does it make sense to do that? And so that's really important, minding that gap.
So the business is fully operational while you're gone.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's operational. We've got a good solid team. And then also too, I've got a brokerage as well too. So we've got like 150 agents there. So that there's a lot of moving pieces there. But again, you got to have a good team there, good leadership, somebody in operations, office manager, front desk. And so, a good recruiter. Yeah. But you also have to have people bought into the vision of where you're taking the company, and also to have them be leaders in each of their roles, and to give them the ability to feel that this is what I'm responsible for. I am going to make the best out of it. Yeah. But you have to obviously define the roles, but then allow them to grow in those roles as well too.
What makes you a good leader?
Not micromanaging. I think that's important.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, you don't want to micromanage, but you do want to provide leadership. You do want to provide inspiration. You want to be somebody that is also learning as well too, because if you're not, then how do you then lead properly if you're not also being mentored or coached? And I still have a coach up to this day to be able to help and guide and assist me through the challenges that will always continue to be there. That'll never go away. And I think people think that it does, but it doesn't. I think it's always about just enjoying that journey, enjoying the ride, having fun with it, knowing that mistakes will always happen. I think people want to take a football across the field and spike it without going through the linebackers.
They just want but
that's not real life.
They want the Instagram picture, the picture opportunity. But they didn't do anything.
Right, yeah. It's just not real life. Real life is the challenges that come along with it.
Yeah, well, someone would look at you and say, hey, you know what? Like, they're lucky. They get this. Yeah. But you've actually were intentional with your life, and you've set it up in a way where you can do this. Yeah. And I think it's so valuable. I heard about this concept of the entrepreneurial sabbatical, right? Where you take a year off.
Yeah.
Like, you take a year off and you walk away. Obviously, you want to create systems in place. Most entrepreneurs think that the business can't happen without them. And this sabbatical, it's really about, like, okay, creating the systems, working towards a way of you can step away from the business for 1 year, one whole year.
Yeah.
That's how you know you have a business.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that's where you know that you have people bought into your vision.
Yeah.
Right, and want to grow it for you.
And so, are you ever planning to extend these mini retirements or add another mini retirement? When would that be?
I don't know if I would extend it, but I think I would maybe change it geographically, which I've done. You know, I've bought a property down in Mexico, and I think you can still continue to run your business from different geographical parts of the world, and I think that's a great place to be, where you could do it from Mexico, or you can do it from Europe, or you can do it from wherever it is that you want to be in the world. And if you can get to that level, then you know that you've built a very strong business where you don't need to actually be in that specific location to run your business. And it can be done. You know, I mean, look, I thought when I first started being a real estate agent that I could never be able to get to where I am today, but you can. But you need systems, you need processes. And one of the best things as well, too, is for anybody who's listening, and let's say if they're working their 9 to 5 and they don't like their job, because there's a point when I didn't like my 9 to 5 as well, too, is that I took what I learned from there, because a lot of times people are working in larger corporations. Look at the systems, look at the processes, try to understand why they keep doing these meetings, or they're doing it like there's a reason why that company is doing those things when they get to a certain level. And so what I did was, when I went to the entrepreneurial world, I took a lot of systems and processes that I learned from TD Bank and implemented it into my small company. I'm like, this is the reason why they're doing reporting. This is the reason why they do the weekly meetings. This is and that helped to grow my business and expand what it was that I was building.
What's one of the challenges that you've seen when it comes to trying to step away a little bit from the business? You know, these mini retirements. What's one of the challenges that you've seen?
Emails. I think people can get really caught up in the emails and being busy. A lot of times, emails are things coming in. Yeah, those are things that are coming in that other people want you to do for them a lot of the times. And I'm not saying not to reply to them, but don't live in your emails. I think a lot of people make that mistake. Focus on the 20% that's really going to make you the money, and then you can get back to those emails. Because, and the other thing as well, too, is if you're replying to those emails, do not reply to them late at night. If you are, schedule them for early morning. Yeah, well, because then what you do is you're training the people emailing you.
Yeah, it's such a time suck. The best invention ever created was the autoresponder. Yeah. If you're sending me an email right now, it's probably not gonna be responded to for a while. So contact this person, that person. This is the people that you want to contact. Yep. And if you have this issue, this is the issue. I learned that with my tenants. I remember they used to, I'd have a tenant. They'd call me for everything, right? And I'm not the person they should be calling, right? If there's a fire in your house, don't call me. Right. Call the fire department. Yeah. If your neighbor's being too loud, call the police. You know what I mean? Or whatever the situation may be. And so what we did is create like directions, like this is what if this happens, this is what you do. This happens, and we gave it to everybody, and they could put it on their fridge, and they have all the contacts, all the information of all the people that they can that they could connect to. Very similar to email, right? Yeah. If someone, if you're answering every single email, you're a slave to that to that email, because an email is going to create another email. Yep. And that other email is going to it never stops, because someone has now with AI someone can auto respond and say, oh, that's great, what about this? Yep. Oh my God, now we're in the email abyss here.
I will rarely respond to an email more than once a day, because then now I'm just training them, like, listen, we got to get everything in, because you're not going to hear from me for at least 24 to 48 hours. And the other thing as well, too, even like for phone calls and voicemails, I tell people, don't even leave me a voicemail. There's way better ways to get a hold of me if it's urgent or important, right? Because I'm just not going to check them. I'm just not checking them.
Well, you know what? You got to be efficient.
Yeah.
If you want something done, give it to a busy person, because a busy person is not sitting around answering emails. They're busy, right? Yeah. They figured out ways of just focusing on that 20%, and
Right.
I think that's the value of taking these mini vacations, these mini retirements, if you will,
Yep.
where it's like, you can be so efficient the rest of the year because you now are taking 4 months out of your work year, and so that means you got this time to get this much done.
Yeah.
I'm also a believer in splitting the day into two, right? So everyone has one day, but what if you had 2 days, right?
Yep.
So from morning to noon, that's one day.
Right.
I think the psychology behind it is that, you can, if you look at that as one day, you schedule one day, 9 to 12 is one day, and you have to do everything in that one day that you have to do, whatever you have to do. And then the next day, it's maybe 1 to 5, 1 to 6. That's the next day, right? So
Right.
now everyone has one day, but you have two,
Right.
right? And it goes back to why New Year's resolutions don't work, because there's this unreasonable idea that there's so much time to do all of these things that no one ever does anything.
Yeah, and you know what you're talking about as well too, which I think is important, is that you figured a system that works for you. Mm-hmm. And what's really important, just to even add to that, is plan your day before you start your day. Yeah. Some people get caught up in getting busy but not productive, busy doing things that are not getting them to where they want to get to. And so if you can plan your day before you start your day, and it depends on how you want to do this, whether it be the night before. Mm-hmm. The night before is a good way of doing it, because when you go to sleep, now sometimes your brain can help you solve some of those issues. Or first thing in the morning, get up early in the morning, 6 o'clock, and plan your day. Because once that day is planned, the big things that you've got to get done. And there's a great book by Brian Tracy called Eat That Frog. Get that big thing out of the way first, because then now it feels like everything else is easy. I love doing yoga in the morning because nothing's going to be harder than yoga. Hot yoga, one of the hardest things that I do to kind of get my day rocking and rolling, and it puts me in a great state of mind.
My wife got me in to do hot yoga, and it was hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm clearly out of shape.
Yeah. But you know what, though? You'll get into shape real quick, man, within 6 months. You get that core activated, but, you got to plan your day before you start.
Well, you look great. I mean,
thank you.
You take care of yourself. What are the sports that you play? I
used to do soccer, but yoga. A good friend of mine. Yeah, I went to pick up some food from him. I'm a yogi. Yeah, I love it. I'm there at 7 o'clock on my mat.
Wow.
And stretching.
Are you doing it from home, or are you doing it?
No. I get into the car and I drive, and I'm being taught with a group of other yogis, and we do it for an hour, and it's hot.
Do you wear Lululemon?
No, Lululemon. Not that tight.
That's what you draw the line.
Because then you may want to join my class. But I'm telling you, it's one of the best things you can do for yourself, mentally, physically. It puts you in an incredible state of mind, because when you're trying to pose in some of those positions, you have zero time to be thinking about that real estate transaction. You're trying to hold a pose, and it allows you to clear your mind and to think on just one thing. And there's no external noise. There's just nothing. It's just you and your teacher and the rest of the class trying to put your body into the best shape possible, and trying to put that baby toe behind your ear. And when I come out of there, I feel like I don't feel any pain from that. And so as you get older, you need that. It's a good thing where you're not feeling that anymore.
I know you're going to be talking about the 3 freedoms.
Yep.
I think you're really in alignment with a very specific lifestyle that you want, and you've managed of how to put all the pieces together where you can actually live that life.
Yep.
And those 3 freedoms, I'm looking forward to hearing the talk that you're going to provide. But what's next for you? What's going on in your life? What's next?
Yeah. It's a good question. I
know that I saw some videos. You're doing things in Mexico, and that I think that.
Yeah, I think it's to continue to expand on my team. I've been a real estate agent now for 10 years. This year, I think I did 2 transactions. So I'm almost completely out of it. And I think by next year I will be, where I don't do any more transactions. So that's exciting. So I want to continue to build in the team. I want to continue to grow the brokerage and move more into the space of, I've been doing the mentorship and the education, but I think maybe move a little bit more into that because I do enjoy that. I do enjoy helping people see themselves better than who they maybe believe that they are, what they can achieve. Because when somebody does that for you, you can't help but want to do that for other people as well too, and to be in other people's testimonials and to help them grow, and also to give them that focus of realizing, well, what's really important, and to kind of give them that direction. Because sometimes you get lost and you get so caught up in the financial freedom that all of a sudden now you're chasing it, and you keep chasing this goal of financial freedom. Sometimes you get there and you don't even realize it.
You're already there,
right? but you're chasing that next goal, that next high, and sometimes you got to slow that down, but you can't do it unless you have somebody to show you it and to map that out for you. So I think the mentorship side of things in education, I still enjoy that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What inspires you?
My family, my kids, my wife, friends, that inspires me to work hard and to be able then to also slow it down and enjoy that time with them. I enjoy having a good laugh. I enjoy having a nice drink. I enjoy
everyone should laugh
fishing,
at least, a belly laugh.
Yeah,
every day.
Yeah, that's where it all. That's when you actually break it all down. What is the meaning of life? And I think it's about just having a good time,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Why would it not be? Yeah. But also working hard as well too. Yeah. And so there's, when you look at the whole entire life experience, it's everything's yin and yang, light and dark. Pleasure and pain. It all goes together. People just always want to be happy, but you have to go through the hard times as well too. One of the best things that ever happened to me was going through a depression. It sucked during the time going through it, but when you come out of it, what a great thing to go through, because it also allows you to realize of how dark things can get in your life, to then also enjoy the good things that happen in life as well too. So you got to experience all of it, but you don't stay in any space for too long. It's always moving.
A life is meant to be well lived.
Yes.
And that's a good way to end this podcast.
Yeah.
My brother, keep coming back over and over and over and over. I think this is the 3rd time on mine. I've been 3 times on yours. Yeah. It's just endless conversation that I think people can get a lot of value, little snippets of, this time we focused on the lifestyle part. And, I want to make sure that you continue coming back.
I will. I will always continue to keep coming back, and you keep coming back to mine as well, too.
Let's do it. Alfonso loves you, and we'll see you all at the top. Woo!
Awesome.